more specific aspect of the military. There are certain units that have been created, like Euro 4 and others, Eurocorps, that integrate units from different European countries. They are, to a certain extent, somehow kind of experimental projects. But the idea, in any case, is not to create a European army. That's for sure. The idea, as I said before, is not even to create a, strictly speaking, defensive policy. The idea is to create a capacity of Europe to be a global actor and to be in a position to work with the UN or under UN mandate outside Europe to help bring about peace in different places. For that, you need to have units that are well trained. You have to have the necessary logistic support for those units, transport, etc., etc. And all that has to be integrated and managed in an integrated manner. And that's what the European security and defense policy tries to do. When it comes to a specific unit, it's not that when you say this unit will work in the European framework, is that it is somehow extracted from wherever it is and put in another place to be European. No, that same unit stays where it normally is, and it might be at the same time a NATO unit, a European defense policy unit, and whatever else, because it's simply a question of preparedness and availability. And then the unit itself could be used within a NATO framework, within a European framework. That doesn't matter so much from the point of view of the unit itself.
We're going to shift to TNEC, and then we are going to have a second rotation in which each university will definitely be able to ask one question and possibly two. Over to TNEC.
Well, I guess TNEC can't connect. Whoop. ITV. Okay. But TNEC relayed to me one of the students' questions. His name is Max Berkey, and he wants to know to what extent in the interest of the Eastern European expansion superseded the development of a cohesive European identity.
Yeah, expansion and dilution. In other words, what they are saying is that your answer has not convinced them.
I will try again. I will try again. No, sincerely, I think we cannot deny that it is very difficult to expand and deepen at the same time. That is clear. Nevertheless, I think we have achieved it to a certain degree. If you look, for instance, at the last, let's say last 20 years. In the last 20 years, the EU went from 11 members to 25 members now. So it's a big process of enlargement in three different stages. At the same time, 20 years ago, we still did not have a single market. We had a common market, but not a single market. We didn't have a single currency. We didn't have a common foreign and security policy. We didn't have a European security and defense policy. All these new policies, all these new elements have been developed at the same time that we were enlarging. So that proves that it is possible to enlarge and to deepen. Perhaps not in the same way, at the same speed that it would have been done otherwise, but we continue to do it. The principle in the European construction has always been that it is not a matter of going fast. It's a matter of creating common interests. It's the matter of creating functions that we are forced to share, because all these functions that we have to exert in a conjoint manner will create and will rebuild and reinforce our unity and our identity. That was the basic message of Robert Schuman in 1950 when he announced the idea of creating the European coal and steel community. It's a functional idea. We create functions, and those functions bring us closer and together.
Does TNEC have a second question?
Yes, TNEC just relayed a second question, and it's from Ivanka Grigoria. And she has basically a two-part question. Do you think that the EU will benefit developing countries such as Bulgaria and Romania? And what does the increasing prices of all the goods, do you think that will ruin the poor population?
Could you repeat the second half of that question?
With the increasing prices of all the goods, how will that affect the poor people of the populations?
Yes. Well, I mean, of course, there is nothing more difficult than to predict the future. So there is no assurance that you can give in any of these things. But the best thing we do when we want to foresee what is going to happen is to look backwards, look to past experiences and see what happened. And what the past experiences tells us is that any country, without exception, that has joined the EU has had or go through a period of unbelievable development and growth. So we certainly are convinced that this is going to be the case also with Bulgaria and Romania. Of course, this goes not without shocks, and this goes not without paying prices, because you have to make very important structural adjustments. So it means that Bulgaria and Romania will have to make important adjustments. They are already making it. That is part of the process of pre-accession. And certainly they will have to pay a price also sometimes in the social dimension, because people will have to change jobs, abandon perhaps all functions and productions that are not very efficient, and look for new jobs, recycling, etc. Now, the question of the increase of prices. Generally, the experience is the contrary. Normally, when a country joins the EU, has not a very important rise in prices. Why? Because it is open to much more competition. And all of a sudden, you have to open your market more. This is not done, of course, in one day. It's a process that takes place along the years, some before accession, some after accession, because after the political accession, there is normally a period of time that is negotiated on each individual basis, and in that period of time you open progressively your market, you enter and join the different policies in a progressive manner. So it's not a tremendous shock that would create an unnecessary upheaval. So the experience tells that in that process normally prices do not increase, or not increase in a substantial manner, different of what the evolution would have been in case of non-adhering the EU. As a matter of fact, it's rather the contrary what happens.
We can take a couple of quick questions from Madison.
Okay, we have the one question over here.
Thank you, ambassadors, for joining us. My name is Garrett Gilbert. I'm a junior at Fairleigh Dickinson in Madison. My question was mainly focusing on Germany, especially now that it seems Chancellor Schroeder is going to be out of power. I was just wondering what you think the relationship with Germany and the European Union is going to be. Also, if you think that there'll be any major economic issues. I've heard fear of like a rising unemployment level, or even effects on the euro if the German economy was become stagnant.
Yeah, good question. And I think you should expand it a bit, not just into the effect of the departure of Schroeder on Europe, but also the departure of Schroeder on the United States-European relationship.
Yes, well, certainly Germany plays a crucial role in the EU in all respects, in the economic side, but also politically, etc. So whatever happens in Germany has immediate repercussions in the EU as a whole. And certainly the fact that there is going to be this coalition government in Germany will have this impact. Which impact, that's, I think, more difficult to determine right now. we hope that there are